now for you about the aside on Plum Cove Beach. 1819 in Boston. The treasurer presented the suggestion that it might be of advantage to lay out the Plum Cove pasture and the Griffin lot in bungalow lots, with a view to selling or leasing such lots. It was moved and voted that the treasurer have a plan prepared for such use. By 1919, the Rockport Granite Company had realized something really simple. Fixed cost to do granite is hard. Yeah, I'm done by 3 o'clock. So granite was a tough margin. No way to increase the profits. Selling land? That could be easy. So in 1919, on what we know as the ball field in the back area to go up past the school to go to Vernon's, that was all the Plum Cove pasture. When the Rockport Granite Company in 1890 buys the Cape Ann Granite Company out, they get all that land. And by 1919, they are laying out bungalow lots. Bungalow lots are like what happened down on Sunset Point, right? Down in there, the houses that are being torn, the ones left as McMansions, the little quick slappers. Right? So imagine going down to Plum Cove Beach and turning around and seeing houses. Oh, it never happened. This is the area we're talking about. Here's Plum Cove Beach. We're talking about this whole area. This is the area, and you know, where it backs up into the area of the Day Dairy Farm. And in 1920, Rockport Granite Company agrees to allow Eugene Day to move his cows from down across the Plum Cove pasture to his fields. And that they're going to maintain, says, we reserve the right to allow the grove to be used for picnics, for which there will be no charge, since we reserve the right to allow the boys and young men to play ball in the lower fields. But understand, if we want to sell it, we're going to. So it's only in the past week that I come to this conclusion. You know, the biggest realtor group on Cape Ann is Rockport Granite Company. Now, why didn't it happen? Because they had nothing to do with the heart of Cape Ann. They're in Boston. They're at a distance. It's not like they got feet on the ground. Typically, they would say at a board of directors meeting, we authorize the treasurer to sell this plot of land for $4,500, not a penny less. And land was being sold. Tenement houses were being torn down. They were selling houses all the way through Pigeon Cove. I came across a document recently where they're saying, we own 3 lots in Pigeon Cove, kind of close to each other. Great ocean view. Take a look at what the land cost in Manchester and Magnolia, and you will realize that this is one of the best lots available. The Granite Company. Fortunate that they weren't here, that they were so arrogant that they did all their meetings in Boston, that they weren't boots on the ground, so they could have it faster. By 1925, 1926, when they run into difficulties with SHIP, the majority stockholder becoming this unknown entity from New York, they couldn't do it. They could say, we want to sell this piece of land, but we don't have the stockholders in agreement on this. And all of it gets frozen. So in a reverse way, we can thank them for the fact that we've got the ball field and the field the way that it is. Last bit. So, okay, a bunch of people, many Finns learned English in 1902. Where's the evidence? Shown. So in Barbara Urgula's papers, sometime when she's working on Hammers and Stone, at some point she puts out a great call to Finns across the United States who might have lived in Lanesville to please come forward and give their memoirs or their memories of it. This is Ida. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name since the name. Who comes at the age of 4 in 1890 to live in Lanesville. And so her handwriting, I'm going to pretend that she was one of those pupils in that school at that time. So now it's 60 years, 55 years later, and she's saying, my parents with 4 small children were living in a tiny house in the same yard with the company's store by Putnam Quarry. The house was built like this: 2 rooms, one above the other, and a lean-to kitchen. I need to get the piece of paper out and read the rest of this to you, because it's a good story. So this was the house that was built. There was no room for a stairway. So the lower room had a hole in the ceiling and a ladder. My parents slept in the upper room. We children slept on the cotton and straw pallets along the walls of the lower room. The only furniture in the room was a large homemade table and 2 long benches and some chairs. All the bedding was stored in the upper room during the day. The yard had an old orchard of gnarled apple trees and a chicken sales utility building. No fence, plenty of wood, wildwood in the rear. The house was near the road. My father was one of the lucky men working some kind of depression was on. No work for anyone. Thanks to Dr. Rowley, who's in the Rowley Schwartz, and a Charles Andrews, my father had a job, even if he did not see 1 cent of money for a year. He was a watchman for the quarry in the store, done any odd jobs around the place. So he earned the food, warmth, and shelter for his family for a year. As little as the house was, he found room in it for a homeless 17-year-old Finnish boy who was wandering around Lanesville because no one wanted him. So he had his straw and cotton pallet in a welcome corner with us. One day, the street suddenly in front of the house was full of people. All the American town people were running up and down the street, yelling and laughing hysterically, and they were throwing paper money up in the air. My mother stood in her doorway, amazed. Finally, she said, I gotta skip the finish. The English is, "Dear God, have all the Americans gone crazy? They're throwing money around like that?" Mother sent us children out into the street to pick up every little piece of paper. And she papered the lower front room in the little house with it. Years later, I went back and asked the people if I might see it. And yep, it was still on the wall. My explanation? The Americans had found out that the script of Civil War money that they had been saving was worthless. And then Ida does one more amazing thing. This is probably my favorite map and favorite graphic of KPN. So if I were to ask you to close your eyes and draw what kind of outline of KPN, right? Ida, this Finn who's learned English, this is her outline. Gloucester down here with a waiting station. West Gloucester, Wolf Hill, Riverdale, Enniskillen, Bayview, Lanesville. This is the near and dear spot where all of my family lives. So she has many, many, many anecdotes. Talks about the quality of the Finns. Talks about the socialist Finns. And then there's this little, Peter Parsons, did you make it? You did. Good. Wales Jaw. With the same Dogtown Common. And she says, I spent my whole childhood leading my father's cows here, picking blueberries and cranberries. I used to sell to summer people for 2 cents a quart. I used to sit on Wales Jaw and look all around, but I was so used to natural beauty that I did not see it. Since then, I've seen many, many beautiful places in America and Mexico. Now I remember how beautiful the view is from Dogtown Crossing. So, I talked about the birch tree at the beginning of the brown part to be cut out. And the essence of all of this is the Finns learning English, the way in which they moved around, is this very essence of the heart and the center of KPN. And this is really, seeing Wales draw on a cup of coffee is a good thing. I'm going to stop here just a minute. I am in June. I want to tell you about Dogtown. In June, I'm giving a talk for the San Diego Historical Society on relics from Dogtown Stone.